Welcome to the Proctor Select Board meeting of October 15th. If you would all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business is to review and approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Albert has a question.
Yes, Albert?
Just one question. I have a short report I would like to make as representative to the bus.
Okay, we can do that
Should
under
be
new
new
business.
business, or do I need to add an agenda item for that?
No, we'll just do it under new business.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All right, anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. A motion would be in order to approve the September 23rd meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Open public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the board?
I'll start first. So, Christopher Turner. So, we talked about, at the last meeting, the possibility of a restructure of the piping on Newton Street being a resolution to the water. I want to correct my comments from last meeting. I said water pressure, with it actually being a water flow issue. I don't know how exactly that needs to be passed through you guys, if that.
What does it mean, a water flow issue?
So, if I may,
Can you just state your name for the record?
Daniel Blake, Newton Street. With pipes that deteriorate over time, the inside of the pipe creates shale and buildup, and the pipe gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller over the years. And so what happens to decrease, the volume is decreased of the amount of water that's going through that pipe, obviously, because it's a much smaller space. So to combat the amount of water that's going through that space, a lot of municipalities will increase the pressure to offset the volume, which will, technically it will work, but when you turn your faucet on and then leave it on for a period of time, the pressure then drops down and your pressure's lost and your volume's lost also. So you've got to basically take the pipes that are there, remove them, and put in new pipes to increase the volume of the water that's coming into the street.
To piggyback on that, the piping he's talking about would be such as the galvanized piping that is currently on Newton Street.
So, the last time you were here, one of the things we asked you to do was because you came and spoke as a representative of Newton Street, that if there was an issue or a continuing issue when you went back, was to contact the town manager about water pressure, about the issue, and to have your plumber contact the town manager. Did you do either one of those things?
I'd actually like to correct that statement. What was mentioned in the last meeting was that you guys would like other people of Newton Street to contact you. And if you would like, please refer back to your minutes from the last meeting. That was the statement that was made. It was not made eye contact. It was made, I am the only person contacting you guys. So other people on the street need to contact. Hence why I brought one of the longest tenured people of Newton Street in to explain that I am not the only person having these issues. I was also, if you look back to your meeting, told that I would be receiving a call from Judy the following day. Still waiting on that phone call. So it's a two-way street here. It's not.
Okay, we're not starting being adversarial. I'm asking you, did you have your plumber contact the town?
I have not received no communication from the town yet, so no, I have not.
Okay, we asked you at the meeting, and Judy also asked you at the meeting, to share the name of your plumber so that she could reach out to him. So can you please do that?
As I was also told at the last meeting that I would be receiving a call from Judy the following day if you look at your meeting minutes. That did not happen. So again, this is a two-way street deferring to my plumber doesn't change the fact that I am not the only person affected by this. You guys would like to make it that I am the only person affected by this, but I am not. It is the entirety of Newton Street. It is not just me. So my plumber reaching out to you guys doesn't change the fact that I am not the only person affected.
If I recall correctly, I wasn't contacting you until I heard from your plumber, because you said your plumber would give me the update as to what was happening with your pipes. And I didn't have anything to go on until I talked to him, or her, whoever it is. I haven't talked to anybody. And I believe in terms of the rest of the street, I said anybody can contact me if they're having issues, and no one has. So no one's reached out to me personally, or I don't believe anybody on the select board to complain about the pipes. And as far as them, you're talking about them being, clogged or being, over time. Are you talking like from the house to the main, or where are you talking in terms of pipes?
Okay, so I've done most of my own plumbing for about 40 years. I also owned apartment houses in Rutland City for almost 40 years. And what happens is your main coming in to the street, not my pipe coming from the street to my house is copper, and copper does not do that. It's only galvanized or lead or other types of metal pipes. Copper does not do that. So mine's copper, so I have no issue from the street to the house. However, I do have issue because on September, it would be Labor Day weekend of 2024, I was at my daughter's wedding, and my daughter-in-law from North Carolina and my son, Sean, came home from the wedding to the house and called me in a panic and said, the toilet is spraying all over the bathroom and the upstairs toilet is running crazily. So I left the wedding and came home, and what had happened was somewhere along the way, the town had increased the water pressure to the house, and it blew my water pressure regulator that was on my copper fitting. So I had the house set at 65 pounds, and it blew. And it blew the hot water heater water pressure, which is 100 pounds. It blew both toilets. It affected a couple other faucets, things like that. Nothing major, but what I did is I shut the water off to the house. I installed a brand new water pressure regulator, which I had at the house because I had spares from doing multiple work. I put a new water pressure regulator, and then I fixed both toilets, which the reason they blew was because the pressure was so strong. When your ball comes down to tell the toilet to fill itself, the pressure shot up and shot the ball right off the top of the water pressure because the pressure was so high. I don't know if the town did that or if there was a surge in pressure. I can't say because I wasn't there. But I know that my house was frantic. I had called 2 times previously in 23 and 24 about my water pressure. I had a gentleman from the water department come down, tested my system, said it was low, but then he told me that it was my kitchen faucet that was the problem. However, I don't believe that was entirely correct, because when we have the washing machine running downstairs or the faucet outside running, the water in the house just trickles. I mean, literally trickles. So we have to shut everything off in order to take a shower or in order to do anything in the house. That's been that way for almost 3 years. I did complain twice, and then I just said, you know what, I'm just done with it. I just deal with it. We shut everything off when we take a shower. Tell my wife, don't flush, basically don't do anything until we're done with the showers, and then go from there. But we can all go to the house right now. I can turn the outside faucet on, turn the kitchen faucet on, and it literally trickles. So take it
Was
from
this
there.
brought up to the select board and the town manager?
I did not bring it up to any select board. It was just the town water department person that came to my house twice. And it was just that gentleman that came to my house, younger gentleman, and he came twice to the house. And like I said, I didn't go any further with that because it was like, okay, I'm just done. I'm done. So, but I've spoke with the neighbor next door. He couldn't come tonight. Leah, who's 90-something years old, my next door neighbor, Leah Capitan, she has the same issue, and she had some furnace work done because she didn't have a pressure reducing valve on her house, and her furnace water pressure it blew the pressure reducer. It didn't blow our furnace, it just blew the water, so water went all over the floor. We had to have someone come in. Her nephew and I kind of take care of Leah, so we are responsible for like making sure everything's okay over there. And we went over and found water in the basement, had a plumber come and take care of the issue for us.
So her pressure was too high at her house?
Her pressure was too high, but they put a pressure reducer on and reduced the pressure. Again, the volume though, is when you, it's a catch-22 is what it is by increasing the pressure, if the town did in fact do that or did not, I'm not saying they did, but if they did in fact increase the pressure to try to offset the volume to fix the system, what they did is had us put water pressure reducers on, so the pressures dropped down to 65 pounds, which is my house, but then I have no volume, so I have no water, basically. I have to literally shut everything off to get a glass of water. Take it from there.
Rob, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you have any, I mean, we wouldn't have increased pressure down there.
I haven't tested the PRV since I put the new diaphragm kit in it. That was earlier in the year, so it hasn't been messed with.
So I don't know what would cause the pressure to all of a sudden be.
It went from, I have a gauge on mine, so it went from 65 pounds, and when it blew, it was 110 or 112 pounds when it blew. And a hot water heater doesn't blow till 100 or 90 or 100, I'm not sure exactly what it is. But it blew my hot water heater. It blew the pressure valve on the hot water heater. That's how strong it was.
But it's strange it would only impact one house on the street, isn't it?
But it doesn't, he's a completely separate house. That's 2, Leah, 3.
We're talking about different issues here, Chris. We're talking about that the water pressure blew, that it impacted and blew up his water heater.
I told you at the last meeting that I also had to replace my water heater for the same reason. I don't know if these aren't being passed along in the minutes. I'm not trying to be adversarial, as you stated. I'm trying to state facts so you guys can understand that in the last meeting, I also said I had to replace my water heater and also had over $10,000 in damages due to it, if that is remembered by anybody. So it's not just his house, and he does his own plumbing.
You also told us you had a leak and your pipes in the basement were leaking.
The main water line, it has been capped 4 times, yes. That leads into the service line that leads into the house. And the water department knows because the 2 gentlemen that came out, I don't think it was you, it might have been, you got a bigger beard if it is, on December 24th, also went down to my basement and saw that it was leaking, and my plumber came out, it was already out there, and capped it a couple days later. So, I mean, these are things that it's not just one house, it's a street-wide issue. It's just only certain individuals can make it, as I have stated in the previous meeting.
So I got a question. You said 3 years, Dan, you've been...
About 3 years, yeah. I think it was 23, 24, and this current year.
And you're, for how long have you been?
I have lived on Newton Street for about 5 years.
And it's been how long since you've...
Since I've noticed, probably about 2 or so. I couldn't give you an exact time frame on that, I apologize.
But the piping from the Field Street to Newton Street, you've got Garden Street in between, correct? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anybody from Garden Street has ever mentioned anything going on. Not to just try to pinpoint what's actually happening, right? So you've got... And I don't, the questions I think is, of course, what Judy would have to answer all this is, how often is there surges? How often is gauges, or is this water gauged to check for consistency? Whether we do that or not, we'd have to look at that, I think, to find out for sure.
Do you happen to recall when the town sent out a notice that they were changing the wells from, say, I don't know if it was Chittenden Dam to a different well, or from the tower to Chittenden Dam? Do you recall when that was?
Well over 3 years.
Because that included Winter Street. What was it?
Well over 3 years ago.
Well over 3 years,
Yeah.
so 3 or 4 years? I remember getting the letter.
It's been at least, it's been longer than that.
Yeah, well, if it's from the reservoir through the water tanks for supply, that's been quite a while.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since that's.
But
Yeah.
like I said, but in the last, I think it's the last, basically, Jay, the last 3 years, 3.5 years
Yeah.
is when the situation started. Again, I can't pinpoint, I can't answer to the water department or anything why the surges are there.
Yeah.
But the surges were there, it did blow my system, I did fix it, and I have perfect pressure right now, 60 pounds, but when you turn the water on, you can watch the gauge go right down to like 20. And then, you know, if you shut everything else off and take a shower, it'll stay right around 40, which about 40 is where it should be when you're running, and 60 when it's not running. You can attest, disagree, whichever, but that's about the correct amount where it should be. And it's just, it'll start there and then it goes down.
Well, I think even our house over on Patch Street, I want to say forever, it's been, we run at 80 PSI. And it'll stay pretty much right there, but we have the same thing, and it's always been that way. If I'm taking a shower, I know when the wife is doing laundry. It'll slow down, you know, it doesn't shut off to a trickle, but there'll be a difference. Of course, when you're pulling water into the house on several different areas, you're gonna have a decrease, some kind of a decrease.
Understood that.
Right, but I would say that you guys aren't having issues, because it's obvious that there's, you know, several, or say multiple, you know, places. So
I mean,
I think that it's gotta be looked at between Field Street, Garden Street, and Newton Street to see, maybe there's more people and, you know, having issues and they're just not saying anything, I don't know. Or, like Judy said, you go in and, you know, if a plumber was to step into your residence and see or help pinpoint what may be actually happening, you know, if he determines, and then we get either a second opinion or somebody else down in there to help determine what is actually happening, you can narrow it down, you know, a little bit as to what's going on. And if it's a main line, then it's a main line. If it's, you know, lines coming off the main for some reason, you know, we gotta help figure that out. You know, it's not to dispute anything that's happening. It sounds like something's, you know, going on, so it needs to be addressed.
I do have a state organization coming out on October 24th to actually look at the entire piping of the house. So hopefully, you know, that can either assist or put to rest whatever concerns there may be.
Right, and it may be, you know, a valve, a regulator, it might be a pipe, it could be something, obviously something's going on if there's, you know, more than one person, you know, and then you try to narrow it down to a 3-year period. I don't know if that's.
The difference between his house and my house, obviously, there's a huge difference, because he has galvanized coming into his house, which is deteriorated, and I have copper. So
Right.
mine, I can say honestly that my copper pipe out to the street is not an issue.
Right.
His galvanized out to the street could be an issue to his house. I'm not, it might be two different situations, like exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
I could also increase my pressure up from 60 to 80,
You can.
but I was afraid to do that because I was worried that it was gonna blow again. That was my concern.
We actually did that, just to keep the flow. You know, I'm not saying that's what you should do. They should obviously check with a plumber or somebody on what your situation is, you know, with that.
I have no problem trying it and see what happens. Right now, like I said, it's at 65, so I could go up with it and see, and hopefully, you know, there's no issues.
And I know a lot of water softeners are in the residence now too, and I think there you gotta be careful with those, because you can't push past like a 90 PSI on those.
I had my water softener hooked up when it was suggested by the town to purchase a water softener because of the hardness of the water.
Right.
I bypassed my water softener back to the main system I have my water softener off right now. And I do have hard water, and, you know, I can, and when I can, I get residue on top of my canning, which, it's hard water, it is what it is, you know.
Well, that's your decision, if that's.
And that's why I did it, because I was concerned about the pressure, and that was one of the other things, that's why I bypassed it, so.
Okay, so instead of, you know, so is it agreed that if you can get a plumber to look and to see and help determine exactly what's going on, maybe he can't, I don't know, but it's a step forward to try to figure this out?
I'm more than willing to help with any resolution we can come with. I still think that getting a restructure of Newton Street would be efficient in the aspect of, Judy also said at the last meeting that there's a lot of, there's houses on Newton Street that don't have individual shut-offs. Why not kill two birds with one stone? Restructure if that is the issue, even if it's not, it's galvanized piping, eventually it's gonna be an issue anyways. Why not do it, get the individual shut-offs put in, and don't have to worry about it 2 years, 5 years down the road?
Well, Judy can talk to that, but these curb stops, there's a lot of places that could use them but don't have them. So it's like putting them in it's a bit of a process to do that.
Yeah.
But instead of just digging everything up and start adding new, it's.
And to interact with your situation, curb stops can do one thing, but from the curb stop to the house is not your responsibility, it's his.
Right.
Right.
So I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So when we had Newton Street tore up because there was a water leak 10 or 12 years ago.
Yep.
While the street was up, I said, you know what? I want to put the curb stop in, I want to put copper in. I dug to the basement of my house and had it done. Because the construction guys were already there.
Yeah.
It was another 3 feet to dig, and the town dug my stop for me.
Yeah.
And I put in the copper piping, and I put in the stop, and I have a shut off in the basement as well, so. It was just one of those things where I had to do it because it was the right time. I didn't want to dig it up myself. So that could be an issue. I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying it could very well be.
Trying to determine exactly what's going on, so, the water flow is gonna fluctuate, I think, to a point. It's not gonna be a steady, unless you're regulating it yourself into your house. Like Rob said, I don't think anybody would go down and purposely turn on for high pressure unless there was a reason they thought they needed to, or turn down pressure.
Right, and there's a street between them, so if that was the issue, Garden Street would have been the first rather than Newton Street.
And I just want to make it clear, I can speak for myself, but I'm sure Dan is the same way. We're not saying that you guys are purposely sabotaging or manipulating water pressure, water flow to any of the streets. My concern is what's currently going on at Newton Street, whether it's at Meadow or Patch or wherever, is a complete different scenario. That's something I feel like is worth trying to find out. At least in my opinion.
Bruce?
Yeah, Rob, do we know what the main line is? Is it galvanized on Newton?
I know there's a bunch of galvanized lines, I think going to a couple of the houses, but
I'm
I
talking
think off
main
the
line.
main, I think it's a 2-inch line, I'm not sure what the material is, it might be galvy.
Yeah, because when it comes out of the pressure reducer in the vault there, doesn't that cover the houses on Field Street?
I do believe it does.
That's what my recollection is,
And I
and
think
it goes up
around that
around,
Yeah.
from Metcalf's and,
Yeah, down toward Newton.
Yeah.
When you guys have the
Newton,
Field Street
or
issue,
Garden Street and then Newton.
I think the main down through there is pretty old. I think it's old 4-inch cast. So it probably wouldn't
You know,
hurt
Newton.
to set up a project to replace some line down toward there. Those hydrants don't flow too heavy either.
Yeah, I know the one we had trouble with at the old Ternovich farm.
Yeah, that one's right at the end.
The
of line.
first
That thing
one.
That thing barely runs.
Yeah. So,
I'm sure that old 4-inch cast line's probably about that big. inside.
And that was the
yeah,
point.
I'm sure, but they're not using that, well, we are feeding backwards to Newton Street, I'm sure.
When you guys shut the water off to Field Street, when you had the issue last week, you shut the water off to Field Street, it shut our water off, so you are.
Right, yeah, I shut it off from above.
Yeah. So I'm well aware that it goes Field and then to the surrounding houses.
Yeah.
Because when you shut Field off, it shut my water off.
Which
Yeah,
is weird, because
right.
when you texted me and said your water was off, my water was still going, but just at very minimal pressure. So very minimal
Yeah, it's
flow.
just-
It's
it's
just 5 minutes of
pressure that's on the line.
Yeah.
You're at the end of the line,
Oh, I
so.
get the end of a
Yeah.
line stuff.
You do.
Sweet.
The only pressure reducer is in the vault for Field Newton.
I can't answer
Garden.
to what happened that day, was the, like I said, Labor Day weekend of '24. It could have been a piece of shale, break free, it could have been rust, it could have, anything will cause, it can cause a pressure increase if something breaks free from inside the pipe and heads out. I believe on Field Street, it was actually, there was a house, they said that you guys went over and found a piece of almost seashell inside the house, because when you turned the water back on, they had no water in their house. And you guys went over and found a piece of something in their water pipe. I got that from someone else on Field Street.
I don't recall that.
Maybe a plumber went, but they took it. But what I'm trying to say is that something could have broke free and caused a pressure increase for me, which caused my problems that evening. And like I said, I corrected it and moved on, so.
Yeah, and I know if it was really high, I know the pipe runs through the basement of Metcalf's.
Yeah. Goes through his
The
basement.
pipe is
That goes
right in,
behind
and I'm
French's.
sure that's the main line going up, and I don't know what the tap-offs are for Garden and Newton.
I think Garden's a 4-inch, I think Newton's a 2-inch.
Yeah,
But I think it's all on a 4-inch line going through there. It's old.
Yeah.
If it's cast, it's probably meeting the end of its life.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we have the water department and Judy look and see what the pipes are? And maybe we can see if we can get rural water, if we can camera, look at them, trace them.
I think, I mean, like with you two, I think you could have two totally different situations.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I mean, and you said the state was coming to your house?
Yes, I have a state organization coming out to look at the piping to see if it could be that the piping needs to be redone. I've had the
And
piping
when is that?
October 24th at 11:30 a.m.
Okay, all right. Because I'd like to know about that too, what kind of feedback you get back.
As soon as they give me results or feedback of that, you will be one of the first people to know.
Okay,
So why don't we wait till we get that report?
okay.
I just want to clarify that that report isn't going to affect the fact of where Rob, I think that's your name, right? Rob and Dan were just talking about how the main line in the road still is getting towards the end of its life. They're just looking at my plumbing.
Right, but that's a much bigger project.
Yes.
And that's a project where this year, when water and wastewater bills stayed the same, and we have big projects coming up, that's not like a project in a year. That's a build-out kind of project.
Absolutely.
So that's a project for the water and Judy to look at the lines and analyze those. And talk with our engineer about that, so.
That was just my goal, is to be able to get some kind of ball rolling here with that scenario, so, thank you.
All right. John?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to bring up something. Did you accept the meeting of last month, last meeting, you accepted the minutes of that meeting, am I correct?
Yes.
How come some of the minutes in that meeting that were discussed here that I brought up are not in the minutes?
For example, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the lawn, the grass, John Salskowski's high grass on his wall. There's things that not, we've been going back and looking, and on the camera it says this is this, and in the minutes you accepted them
What are you
tonight. That was not in the minutes. I'm a taxpayer, that should have been in the minutes.
Well, John, you're in the minutes for things, and everything does not have to be in the minutes verbatim. In fact, the only thing that's required to be in the minutes, if you want to take a breath, is the people that are in the room and motions. So every conversation that we have here is not required to be recorded in the minutes.
What I'm saying is, what happens is.
I heard what you said, and I just explained to you what is required to be in the minutes.
Okay.
Anything else, John?
I'd like to find out what went on at William Street, but I'll probably have to wait.
What would you like to know?
Actually, John, it does say, weeds along new sidewalk on South Street. It does have the things in here, so whoever is reviewing the minutes with you, maybe they should read them a little better.
Okay. I'm glad you said that.
Good, because don't come in here and be accusatory. I'm a little tired of
What I'm
it.
saying is, I brought up stuff on that, and it should have been in the minute as a citizen. I brought it up.
No, you brought it up late, you did not bring it up. No, John,
That's all I'm asking.
you did not bring it up.
Yes.
Now, under open public comment. You come and you like to speak anytime, and you brought it up at the end of the meeting. So, you want to dot your i's and cross your t's, John, you're gonna have to be a little sharper.
No.
Don't play with me tonight.
I'm not
Do you have anything else that you would like to speak about this evening, John?
Oh, there's a lot of things, but
Then
it seems like you jump on me all the time.
This is the
I can
time.
ask the question why it was not in the minutes.
It
I
is.
brought it up. It's not.
She just read it to you, Jen.
New business, weeds along new sidewalk on South Street. Request for paving compression test, John Joswick.
That's in the minutes.
Right here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why, John, because I'm tired of you coming in here and jumping at everyone at this table. That's
I'm
why.
not jumping.
Yes, you do.
Because
You never come and have anything positive to say. Never. You always come with the negative.
You think so?
What have you come to say this evening that's positive? What did you say at the last meeting that was positive about anything in town?
I just asked the question about the lawn and the sidewalk.
That's not what you said, John. You want to play that game? You know what you said? You said,
and then-
we should be embarrassed
Then-
and we should be ashamed
Then-
because it hadn't been mowed. That's what you said.
That's right.
Well,
And
then own it. If you're saying it, own it, honey.
And then she said, all right, we do not mow the top of the wall. She said that.
We don't, it's
We
his
don't.
property.
No,
But you mow the top of the wall just down 50 feet,
Where?
the marble wall. You mow up on top.
Along South Street.
Okay, anything else, John?
it from time to time.
Where,
Up the wall on South Street.
yeah, we're talking about John's house, Chelsea's, on the top.
It's his own lawn and he
That
needs to
little
mow his
wall
own
right
lawn.
there.
John Zaustowski can mow his own lawn and that is his property. He always mowed it before, he just stopped.
Steve used to mow his lawn, right?
Steve was talking about the wall, that little short little.
Good. I think I've seen Steve weed whacking that at one point. I don't know if
When
he
did he
was
stop
helping
mowing it, John? John, when did John Zelostowski stop mowing it? He's always mowed that.
or he mows on the other side of the sign there, but he doesn't mow from the post to the top of the wall.
From the post to going like up Ormsby? Or?
No, to
Yeah,
the wall.
on the left.
The wall.
On East Street.
Along Route 3.
But
Yeah, it was
I
did
never
before.
saw an issue there with that before, it was always done.
What else, John? This is, because this is when we're speaking.
How come, we're hiring Pittsburgh to do our side mowing with the big chopper?
Because we don't own one.
And when did this all happen?
It
Saturday.
updates for us periodically, yeah.
Yeah, they just did this, I think at the beginning of the week or the end of last week.
Yeah, the end of last
They came
week.
through with their, over-the-rail mower on their loader, because we asked them to trim back some of the trees and saplings, and it'd just be easier than going out and cutting with a pole saw and So we asked him for a little bit of help.
In the past, we did hire somebody to mow over the guardrails and what have you.
It's made a huge difference in the roads.
So what happened on William Street? I heard too many stories on William Street.
So William Street, went to tap the main. Didn't quite get all the way in with the threads. Went in to screw in the cork. It didn't hold, it popped out. Went to the two valves to shut off William Street. One closed, the other one wouldn't close all the way, so we still had pressure coming through. So I had to go up the road to another valve. And unfortunately, that had to shut off that whole side of the system. So, once we got that done, we threw a saddle around the pipe, put a new cork in it, and turned water back on, and flushed all the hydrants in the area, and let those run for a
So
while.
how come we had to hire somebody, a contractor?
Because Bernie Ratty started the project, he hired Tommy to dig up his service line, because he was teed in from one service line off the main with his brother Kevin next door. And Kevin's selling his house, and apparently it's really shallow in the driveway, and they froze up a few times in the past, and he didn't want to deal with who's cutting the cost on it with a new neighbor. So he wanted his own service line going to his house, and then leave that line hooked up to his brother's house. So we hired Tommy to dig up and put in a new service line, and then we just tapped the main for him.
So we didn't hire a contractor to do the job? Bernie Wright hired.
Well, I heard a different story.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, that's why you should call the town manager or come here, so you don't have to hear things on the street. That way, when you share the things you've heard, they're correct. Anything else?
I'm just upset the way the town's going, I really am.
I don't even know what that means, John.
I'm just saying.
Be
We got
specific.
potholes on every place, that's not being done. And did you check all, when they do the pavement, did you check all the culverts and all the storm drains and all that stuff? Before they paved? No. Thank you. That should have been all done before you started the project.
Great, anything positive that you wanted to add, John?
You guys are missing it, not me. You're gonna find out.
Oh, good.
You're gonna miss a lot.
Well, John, you sat in this chair for a long time, and things didn't get corrected, so I guess it's the five's turn to,
Did you get a, compressor on the blacktop?
They don't do compression.
They don't do it.
Didn't do it?
They don't do it.
They don't.
Most municipalities don't require it or ask for it.
Every town that I've done, they require it.
Which
Oh.
towns?
Which towns are those?
Manchester did,
Oh, you paved Manchester?
they all required a compassion test.
You paved Manchester? What part of Manchester?
Down in Manchester, the town of Manchester.
Down Manchester. What
Most of them want a-
streets?
Most of them want a compression test. I think you know what that is.
How many years ago was that?
Not too many years ago.
Well, in order to do that, you'd have to hire a third party, and that would be even more cost on top of the whole paving. And they have a minimum roller rate requirement that they said basically does the exact same thing as a compression test.
Well, I got it right there at their shop.
Well, I'm just explaining why they didn't do it and that it's still up to satisfactory just based on what they do for the requirements.
okay, anything else? Great, moving on. Good stuff. We had Fall Festival, and it was quite the success. People did a great job. The classes were very happy. We had vendors that were happy, and it seemed like a great turnout. And Maggie McKieran has been named Little East Offensive Player of the Week from Castleton, so that's exciting. It's always nice to see kids that go away and get awards, recognition like that, so that is fun as well.
And I'd like to reiterate, having someone else, Pittsburgh, doing the roads, it makes a huge difference. The roads look so much better, so much more kept. I think it's a very good impression coming into Proctor.
All right, moving on. The fire station, GPR scanning a floor prior.
Albert has a question.
Oh, yeah.
Could I just ask one question
Sure.
on the review bills and expenditures? The item before the fire station.
Sure.
You know, the one that was in our mail, the check warrant report number 3008, or the one that was in our package.
Sure.
Sheet page 1, on the bottom, Wilt Paving Incorporated,
Yeah.
$410,709.60.
Yeah.
Our bid for the paving was $392,368. You know, and there was only a single invoice there listed. I didn't know if maybe they added some other work they had done in Proctor on that one invoice, or where that total would have come from. You know, the 410,709.60. It's the last one listed on page 1. When our paving contractor bid was $392,368.
I'd have to see the bill to see if he,
Yeah, that,
probably went over, I mean, could have gone over cost because of certain things they came up with, you know?
if there are multiple invoices, I would have just assumed they were different
No, I don't
projects,
think he-
Judy,
I
but
don't think
yeah,
he
it just
did.
had the single invoice and. But you don't have to do it right now, I mean,
So the concrete pavement was $333,891, traffic control was $22,000, cold plain was $32,778, and the reclaiming was $22,038. So I'm guessing once they got out there maybe and started doing some of the work that they found out they had to do more, I don't know.
would they contact you before they would do that, or they just take it upon themselves?
They usually take it upon themselves, unless they work with like, you know, DPW, the Public Works and stuff to go over things. But they did, I don't know if you remember, when they put the bids in, they did amend those bids to come back. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do. Yes. But the only number I was looking on was the total, you know, for the project.
Right.
Was the 392, and I saw that 410, and
But I can check for you, Albert, just to see, you know, if he has some comment on it.
that would be appreciated if, wouldn't be a problem. Sure. Yeah, because that's 18,000, and
All right, fire station, GPR scanning.
Okay, so they are doing scanning, scheduling it, I think October 21st, to be over there and do a full scan of the fire station flooring. The rough estimate for doing that is roughly $3,000 to $4,000. Once the scanning is done, they'll have the report out in a couple days, and then the engineers will go in and do the grouting. And they plan on being there probably 3 days. I did reach out to them to see how long it would set before the trucks could go back in, but I haven't heard back. I know the engineer is out for a few days that's doing the grouting. But they came back with an estimate of that of just under 22,000. So 21,884.
The scanning, is that to determine the depth or void that's
Yeah.
underneath of that, right?
Because they didn't feel that the report done prior was enough for them to go off of, and that they'd go over there and they'd find that they'd go to do grouting in one area, and that there'd be a big void, and then another area there wouldn't be anything, or there'd be like a space that they grout, but then rock below it, but then another void deeper down, so they felt better knowing the whole scan of the floor, so that they could better lay out where the grouting would be and
Yeah.
make it more secure.
That's probably a good idea.
What time was that on the 21st? Did they give you a time?
The
or-
scanning, no,
No.
he just said the 21st, he'd be over there.
All right, any other questions about that?
No, it's gotta get done.
Yeah, we're kind of just at the mercy of that.
Yeah.
All right, Christmas hams for employees.
I just put this on because Stan started asking the select board for approval, so
I say, yeah, I like it.
it's on there.
I think you could just build it into the budget. I don't think it has to be a motion every year personally.
That's what I
Right.
think too. I thought I'd ask.
I mean, it's what, 3, 5, 6,
Yeah,
7 people?
really
6 people.
5, I usually don't
Yeah,
eat here.
yeah.
Yeah,
Consensus to purchase hams.
So,
I say,
we were going for prime rib, but that wasn't.
yeah, because maybe I'll get to eat at Kyle's house.
That sounds like a conflict of interest. Okay, budget logistics.
So basically, we have to start working on the budget, so, what I've been doing is compiling the 2024 budget estimated and what the actuals are, and then, trying to look out for fiscal year 26 and give you figures in place before you actually look at the budget. I want to go over the budget with Celia first too, before you guys, just because there's a lot of line items in there that are just carried over year after year that we never, it's not a budgeted line item.
Yeah.
And then there's others when I do the expenditure report and look at it that I found were in previous budgets. So it's kind of like, it's a little, I just want to make sure it's really accurate, so.
Okay. I think, well, the other question is, do members just want to do the budget at regular meetings? Or do you want to set up, in the past, there have been just like, a night for budget meetings, and maybe you do like the bigger ones, like the fire department, highway, and like that, because those are, really like the two bigger
Yeah.
budgets. And then, then you can do recreation, you can do,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
all that.
different things like that, but,
Or we can just go through like the first 10 departments, you
Yeah.
know, whatever, because it starts off with,
yeah, we just need to have an idea so that, if representatives want to be here for those budgets, they can be here.
Right.
And then I think the other thing that would be good to share is, are we looking to, the goal is pretty much, I would guess, to keep the budget flat. I mean, because we're gonna have things that are gonna increase without, insurance, most places is estimated anywhere from 15 to 23%. So, there are all those non-negotiables, but,
Yeah.
knowing that we're probably going to be doing a bond vote in March also, to be able to have some, budget that doesn't have a huge increase in it.
I'd like to try to load the public works budget more so and try to trim the other budgets where we have had savings, because we're just running into so many things where we need to do a lot more repairs and things around the town, and we've got to find ways to fund that. Huh?
potholes.
Yeah. And also, we do have some ARPA funds left. If we could use those for some things that we feel are an emergency, I'd also like to use those for wages, just because I don't want to, the guys I have now working for me are like too valuable to lose. And
Well, can you do this for DPW? I think it's helpful if you come with a list of projects. And it doesn't mean like it has to be, but like, paving, number one, those streets, so we have an idea of what we're looking at for that. And then when you talk about projects, like, I mean, what kind of projects are we talking about? Just as an example.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we do have a lot of roads that people are complaining about, like, I don't know, Warner is in kind of rough shape, people are complaining about
Yeah.
that. You know,
Ormsby.
there's just certain streets that I think we've gotta find ways to either patch, you know, things like that. You know, I think equipment-wise, we're pretty good in terms of, like, mowers at least.
Yeah.
Well, the budget is at a,
Brand new John Deere.
Right, right.
are they categorized as to departments, budgets, you know?
Well, there's line
machinery,
items within
No.
departments.
Oh, well, like, we have an equipment budget,
Equipment budget, you've got. right.
maintenance, yep.
So
But I
it's
think
just
if it-
easier to-
Okay, yeah.
I
'Cause
think
what-
it would be good to have a paving list, and then I think if there are projects, it would just be good to have a list of those, so, like, when we build the budget, like, on the other board I'm at, like, you come, you know, there are certain things that are just intrinsically built in, and then you kind of come with that, you know, the wants, and then you start looking at what it is versus the need. So, like, Warner may be a need versus another street may be a want. And then the other thing we talked about, but we haven't done, is the, the crack ceiling. We haven't done that in a long time. So, I mean, is there a reason why we don't do that anymore?
No, I mean, I think a lot of it is, we've been doing a lot with like the manholes, the water system infrastructure, you know, the asset management plans with our, you know,
Yeah.
engineers. They've been, you know, checking all the sewers and stuff around town. We got 3 guys, we used to have 5.
Yeah,
You know, so I think just keeping up with the mowing right now in the season, and then, you know, they've got the pool, you know, when they shut that down, so.
yeah.
But yeah, we usually get a list of the primary paving projects.
Yeah. And I just think other projects too, I mean, along with trees, I think that there's been conversation that there's several trees in town that.
Yeah, we have a
that
list right
need to
now,
be-
we're
Yeah,
compiling a list, so I go for bid. Yep.
yeah, cause that seems like nothing, I mean, that line item is usually low compared to what it ends up
Yeah,
needing to be.
this year was pretty good though, I think, well, maybe that's next year.
Yeah. Okay,
Will that list just include the next fiscal year projects or ones that might be out a few years, like the fire station floor?
Just fiscal 26.
Okay.
Yeah, 25, 26.
yeah. So
We'll
that's,
do 1 year at a time, Albert.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, you know, projects, yeah.
yeah. Well, the floor, I think we're gonna have to have them like then come or provide in the report, I hope, that the life of what they think that's gonna be, right? Because
Yeah.
there seemed to be a pretty big spread.
Yes.
That is it gonna be 3 years or is it gonna be 13 years? I mean, in that report, it seemed like the spread was pretty different. So maybe after they do that scanning, that'll be a better idea of what that floor looks like, hopefully. So, yeah,
And also in your opening remarks, you said about, you know, having it at the same time we have a regular meeting and/or special just budget meetings.
Sure.
And I've only been through one budget cycle, but I like it when the budget meetings are in the other nights and leave the scheduled meetings for, you know, our normal business. That way there we have, you know, ample opportunity to review the budget or the material for the regular meeting. And then we also have ample time to review the budget material for a budget meeting, so.
well, the other option is we could just make the regular board meeting, I mean, just only deal with what is necessary. I mean, we don't have a lot in water and wastewater right now.
We don't do those budgets anyway.
No, I mean,
Later.
just on a
Yeah.
regular,
Oh,
in a
on here,
regular
on here,
meeting
yeah.
night, that we could probably condense this down and just make it, a regular meeting, just a budget meeting, and not deal with, you know, really the biggest thing we have going on right now is the fire station, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Wastewater plant, but.
yeah, but that's more the bond, that's not really us so much building that, that's more the bond, them, A&E putting that together.
I mean, I think if we have a light agenda, it's worth it to at least tackle like, I
Yeah,
mean,
some of
because
the
we can go
smaller
through, you know,
departments.
municipal buildings, we can go through clerks, we can go through administration, you know, easily
Zoning.
in a night.
Yeah.
So are you thinking starting in December for budgets, or are you
I was thinking sooner.
okay, so like the second November meeting, or you're thinking the first November
I was thinking
meeting?
the first.
Okay, I'm just asking, I know how
Yeah.
much it is, so what if we say the first November meeting, that we review like the first 5 budgets, or the first 5 departments?
And I can send it all out to everybody just so you can see how it's categorized and what
Yeah.
it looks like, the
And then
layout,
we'll just
stuff like
build
that.
we'll just build the agenda around that.
Okay,
And then maybe for the fire station or DPW, that might have to be on a off
Yeah.
night, because those are much bigger
Yeah.
kind of budgets that,
yeah.
And we can get some of the committees in when we're doing
Yeah.
their,
yeah.
Yeah, because like some of these committees don't spend any money, it's almost like, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that's gonna hit us this year that, well, it's upsetting because it's not in the budget and it's turning into, like snowballing, is the reappraisal. So a lot of costs being thrown at us that weren't considered.
Because of changing the computer and.
Yeah, and all that, so.
Yeah, and that, yeah. Yeah, the state really should have provided some kind of funding for that. Maybe raid the education fund, they did it for Killington in their water project, right?
Okay.
yeah.
All right. All right, a motion would be in order to move into the Board of Water Commissioners at 6:57.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but.
Yeah,
So,
I'd
on
say
here
we'd
is,
already heard
just
it.
Williams and Patch Street issues, again, both resolved, both, you know, needed assistance, well, actually, William Street didn't need assistance, we were kind of there to assist him. And then, Patch Street had a leak, and that got repaired as well, so,
Whereabouts Sun Patch?
right at the very top,
Oh,
right in front of the first duplex,
Yeah.
right there. Yep.
Okay. And then, oh, yeah, I saw Aldrich and Elliott guys in town walking around doing, so they have.
completed that service line inventory, do you know?
Tomorrow's the last day.
Oh, okay,
Gotta be submitted tomorrow.
okay.
And that was for what?
Lead and copper inventory.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
When they ask you what was coming into your house, so people had an opportunity to take a picture or scan it in.
Yeah, we'd
Or,
send
yeah, I was like a week or so ago, I saw them walking around.
Yeah.
so, Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't get a very good turnout as far as people contributing.
Doing
What
it.
was it, 18%?
I never got the numbers.
Very, very low percent of people who actually took pictures and sent in the information. So that's why they had to go door to door.
Oh. All right. Okay, anything else in Board of Water?
Got anything, Rob?
I'll get back with you.
Get back.
All right, moving into the Board of Sewer Commissioners, a motion will be in order at 6:58.
Okay. Sorry.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, go ahead.
So the asset management plan is near completion and that should be shared with us soon, so.
So do we think that'll be done like before 1st of December?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. And then we'll have to start planning on the whole, bond and stuff.
Have you heard anything from Aldrich and Elliott about them making a presentation?
No, they just said that I think they would, whenever we decide we'd like to have them, you know, either prepare something, or like they said, they could, you know, be online
Yeah.
and give something, so I don't know when you'd,
Well,
sooner rather than later.
I think if we could have some kind, I think we're gonna have to, I think we should do some kind of like brochure mailing now to like just put it out there, and then like in January, if they could be online and provide, you know, a little synopsis, and do it again in, February, and then,
Yeah, he provided that little quick, you know, kind of,
yeah, but for the size of this project and the money we're gonna talk about, I think they're gonna have to provide something else. I mean, when we did the water project, we had like that, like trifold that kind of explained, like, this is where we are, this is how old the infrastructure is, this is why we're doing it, this is what we're looking at with respect to, like, the bond bank, this is, you know, like, we got, what, a negative, percentage rate then, that, and then, like, you know, there'll have to be some cost estimates, like, that if the bond passes, that, you know, next year, that the rate would be X. I think those are all things that have to be addressed, and I think those are just things that need to be out there so people are aware of it. I mean, rather than we send out the town report in February and say, we're gonna have a bond vote.
Right.
I don't think,
no, it definitely has to go out before.
yeah,
Use bold red letters.
Well,
yeah.
I think we're gonna have to have some sort of public meeting just to cover, you know, so
Yeah, just to
somebody
make-
doesn't say,
Yeah, a handful
well,
of
you didn't,
people.
I didn't know about it,
Right.
and what have you.
But couldn't we do that with them online and just do that, like, even if we did it at 7 o'clock, we could just recess the meeting here, and they could be online and anybody could come and do that?
Or we could just,
Because that way it's recorded then too.
we could just do a special meeting and have them actually come.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to physically invite them, because there might be some that don't know how to Zoom.
Do online, there's a lot of people.
I mean, I just think I think they'd be willing to come down and talk about it.
Okay, I guess. I think having it recorded also has some benefits.
Well, we could do it
though.
on here, we'll do it on Zoom and record it.
And then you can send it to Peg and upload it.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, because Peg.
Yeah, you recording it on here doesn't really,
Do you want to come to that special meeting?
doesn't really do anything just because you record it.
Right.
No,
Then we could
but-
have a November meeting?
Yeah, I mean, or we could have it, yeah, I think we need to do it sooner rather than later. So maybe the best thing would be to contact them and see what, it's gonna be more around their availability, I think, number one. And, maybe we could do it on an off Monday. Could we do that?
Yeah, if Peg TV wants to come. Otherwise, it's the same issue.
Well, yeah, but if you record it, you should be able to send it to them to upload. Like, when they don't come to our meetings and we record it, we can just send it to them and they can still, host it. So,
I've never sent the recording to anybody.
I don't know, I think you're gonna have to invite people to maybe go into the school some night for an hour. We may not get an awful lot, but I think if we cover the bases, you're not gonna get, oh, I didn't know about it.
well, I don't know the difference being here or the school, and the problem is with the schools, now we'll be in basketball season here, and they have a play and
Yeah.
stuff, so I think it's, yeah.
I mean,
And to take that for the 10 people that are gonna show up.
yeah,
You know, we had, what, 30-some people here, and,
Now, that's if you were, or we were to ask for a town meeting, and we're gonna communicate that to the town, how?
Like we do every other meeting. We post it
On,
in the 3 locations that we
Put it
always
in
post.
this little brochure that we're gonna send
something
out.
needs to be, I think, sent out, because that, we had talked about that once, about the communications with, you know, people aren't seeing, they're not going to the website, and people don't go on Facebook, and however
Yeah.
it's, they're not, something's gotta be sent to each household, so they get it. and they can't
before
say
we have them come and
Yeah.
talk.
I think
So
so.
they know exactly what it is, and then set a date for a meet in a location. So we'd have to just, You gotta decide on a location and a time before that gets sent. So every household has the opportunity, they're gonna see their mail. I don't, and whether that's the right way to do it is to mail it out or to walk around and hand it out, I don't know.
I
You
think
can't
it-
walk around and hand it out, 'cause
No.
nobody answers their door.
Right, well, stick it in your mailbox.
Exactly, you're never gonna find people.
Yeah, and that's the question, my question was with the communication, because a lot of people will always still say, I didn't see it, I don't have social media, I don't read the website, and, you know, there's gotta be something.
So we could send a flyer or some piece of,
A postcard.
yeah, something that's not gonna cost a fortune.
Right, right.
And
But-
just with a heads up that we're gonna have a meeting, and you're welcome to come and ask questions, you're welcome to call, you know, whatever.
Well, then they'll,
Those options.
I think so. And then at least they got the information. If they choose not to go, then that's their decision.
But maybe Aldrich and Elliott will have some suggestions as to how some other towns have done this and what's been effective with them.
Right, the best
For
way.
them.
The community, I guess. And I think it's just a matter of, you know, then deciding on a time and a day. And, I mean, it was a good point. You said there's always something going on, like basketball, or there's something, you know, the better location, and that's gotta be decided on.
Well, I would reach out to, yeah, Aldrich and Elliott and see what their availability is, and then go from there.
Okay.
And it might be worth it, because, again, like you had pointed out, the shock factor later would be a lot harder to deal with, I think,
Yeah.
than a little
Yeah.
bit of, you know.
All right.
Okay, anything else for Board of Sewer? All right. Move out. By consensus and into, you have the sheriff's report.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
And town manager's report.
Okay, well, you guys had the report ahead of time, so, I'll just kind of skim over it unless you have questions on anything. I did talk about the, inspection testing, and, what I was told. Dump day went well. We gave away, I think, just under 60 permits. Select board members showed up to help. We went through 1.5 roll-offs, filled with garble. I meant garbage.
I wondered what that was. I thought it was, yeah,
I made up my own word.
I thought it was some kind of like metal.
I didn't see anybody go by with
If
any
you guys don't
garbage.
know what it is, then I'm not telling. So I think it was 1.5 bins, right, with garbage and one with metal?
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
I didn't work that one this year.
Oh, that's right, I thought it was you, that's right, it was Nick
It
and
was
Kyle.
2 bins garbage, 1 metal.
Yeah, so, I haven't gotten the bill on that yet, so, contacted the state to do striping on Main Street, North Street, and Florence. They said they won't do Pleasant. Who does a striping on side streets? I was thinking about that, because we were sitting there going, do we have stripe?
What's that company's name? Lafayette, I
Okay,
think. They're out of Essex. They do a lot of road striping, guardrails, street signs, stuff like
okay,
that.
so like, you know,
Like
like,
subcontract them a lot.
like Ormsby and High Street and
Yeah, they go.
those,
along those.
okay. I don't know why they wouldn't go down
I do
Pleasant.
believe.
I mean, Pleasant's just a little dip down the street, but,
Is that just not big
I wonder if
enough?
they were thinking about the
Do we
trestle. They were
do we
worried that-
stripe those streets?
well, that's what we were saying. We go, are there stripes on those streets?
No.
I mean, there's never been a stripe like up in our neighborhood. There's never been a stripe like on
Tanning when
Ormsby.
I'm plowing.
Huh?
Instead of tanning when I'm plowing.
Right, you know where they are.
Around the road.
None of those streets have been,
Yeah, a lot of them don't have striping, yeah.
North Street,
Street being striped.
no. I mean,
But anyway, so they'll do the rest of it, so I don't know when, but they did say that in the future, just to let them know where our paving projects are ahead of time. so that, because they striped it out before we paved.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't, I don't know why we'd need to worry about doing side streets like that.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, attended the VLCT Annual Board of Directors meeting in Town Fair. Met with sheriff's deputies week of 9/23, discussed the speeding in town and his patrol route. So there have been several, I think I spoke to you guys about
Yeah.
the speeding through town, like coming into the entrances. Being clocked and going 110 miles an hour
Yeah.
by the fawns. So, yeah, there's a few of them.
Well,
It's on every entrance though, so he said he has been patrolling, cause I've asked him about down by Newton Street, he said he does sit there and stuff, you know, people are coming in and then they kinda tend to slow down once, you know, but he said it is a hard 40 to 25, a lot of people just kinda coast in at 35, you know, and stuff, so. But it was good that he stopped in. Tri-Town Path Team meeting update, again, there's gonna be a second virtual public meeting, October 23rd, which is next week at 6:30. Options were shared with different routes and ideas, so you can attend in person if you wanna come, or it will be virtual, so, but I will be here, so. And 2651 West Street, removed the asbestos, September 30th. Notified the residents that this had been done and followed up with a letter for cleanup. I just spoke with them today, said they never got the letter. And I said, well, I sent it out almost 2 weeks ago, so I said, I'm certain it got there. Sent the letter in an email as well, reiterated what we needed to do, what needed to be done.
Didn't we share that before we started? I mean, when we knew they were coming on the 30th?
Yes, I told them that
Yeah,
when they were
okay.
coming, yeah. And she claims that the bins are still there, that the oil tank's still there and everything, so I reached out to them today to say, I thought you took it away. I had to sign something even for them to come and take the oil tanks away. They wouldn't
Yeah.
just take them without permission, so. So I gave them till, I think, December 2nd to have the entire property cleaned up. So she wants a breakdown of the bill for the asbestos removal, so. I will send that. Reached out to Brock and Scott, which are the attorneys who are handling the second mortgage holder for the house on North Street that
Yeah.
was auctioned off. We did receive the deed, however, we never received any payment for the delinquent accounts. So I reached out to them to ask them where that is, and the gentleman I spoke to seemed very confused. He was the attorney. He didn't seem to know what property, he kept calling it North Main Street. Said that somebody should be in touch with you, you might get that paperwork separate. We've gotten nothing, so I'm gonna try to reach, I had to sign something to have them even talk to me, for authorization. So I'm gonna reach out to them again, so,
Yeah,
because
'cause
that's a big chunk of money.
chunk, yeah.
I reached out to Wilk for paving the apron at Beaver Pond Picnic entrance. They said they had a slight apron into the drive, but the town will have to level that out with gravel.
I
So,
saw it was only inches, the apron.
he said because it was such a dip down, they'd have to bring it all the, like slope it quite a few feet into there. And he said it should just be backfilled with gravel up to make it even. The whole road is quite a,
Yeah, we're gonna get out and, do the shoulders.
do the shoulder, yeah, it's high.
Whenever Kyle gets back from vacation.
And then these two are going on vacation, so Kyle can do it by himself. Let's see, shared communications with project manager of South Street Sidewalk about the weeds. Ricky Reed reached out to someone to come and take a look at it and do, kind of summarize what happened, why it's like that, and then they were gonna try to dig it, reseed it with better seed, so. I reached out to them today, because I said I haven't seen any activity over there, and they haven't gotten back as far as a date. And I said, well, now it's getting back into the cold season, it might be snowing pretty soon, so I don't even know if it's worth it.
No.
Right, I was gonna say the timing is
Yeah,
that, it was
I
like
mean,
a
at least-
springtime job, I think. right?
we mowed it,
Yeah,
even though we don't have to mow it,
Yeah.
regardless of what John says. We don't have to mow that, it's not, even the state said that's not the town's obligation.
Right.
So, but it does look better now that it's mowed, at least the weeds, because the weeds.
Yeah.
But even the property lines aren't being mowed And that's, you know, I don't know why, if they're afraid to touch the weeds, or, I don't know.
And what time is the bid opening on the 18th for the
10
timber?
o'clock.
10 o'clock.
I don't know how many people went to the, they did a viewing first of the woods, the timber
Yeah.
cut. They all went up there to look at what was being cut and stuff, so I don't know how many people showed up for that.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. Albert, the bus report? Old or
Yes.
new business?
Old business, you know, I was just gonna bring up the one item, the ground maintenance ordinance. We were almost done with that. I think we were gonna do the final printing and then approve it. The ground maintenance.
I thought we did
Yeah.
approve it.
No, we didn't, because, got a copy of, September 9th minutes. Ground maintenance
Oh, we
ordinance
did
policy
Beaver
was
Pond.
updated, final draft will be provided for the next meeting. And today, we approved the next meeting, minutes, and
I
it
think
wasn't
we
brought up.
posted that.
I thought we did it with Beaver Pond.
Yeah. The minutes of the September 9th meeting, you know, there's a sentence there, ground maintenance ordinance policy was updated, final draft will be provided for updates at next meeting.
Okay, we can look at that.
I'll look back, because I know I had to warn and post it in the paper and everything.
So, alright,
Yeah, I don't think we ever did, because it would have been in today's meeting minutes that we approved, because that was the September 23rd minutes. Yeah,
okay.
that's the one that it would appear that we approved it. Because that would have been by motion. But anyways, if you could look at that, you know, and it's still kind of fresh in our minds if we could finalize that one. And then with the bus, I'll call it the bus, it's the Marble Valley Regional Transit District, but V-Trans recently was there, and the message that was given to the bus was also given to the other 6 transit districts in Vermont. It was the same message that, you know, the likelihood of having a grant award that is level funded is probably going to happen. You know, the grants are going to be level funded this year, and there's also a possibility that they may be even a little less, and they don't know until the budgets come out. But they told the districts to assume that your grants are going to be level funded, and they wanted, you know, the districts to come up with policies or ways of dealing with it and coming up with reduces in expenses for their routes and maintaining the current level of service if possible.
How many times has a bus even come to this town?
Well, and then, you know, that's kind of the driver for looking at optimize or cutting costs. You know, they want every district to cut costs and yet provide a service. Well, then the other routes, you know, they don't deal with Proctor, but I'll just talk about the Proctor route in that also the bus does a performance measure looking at routes, various routes, and they do it periodically, and the ones for Proctor prior to the possibility of having level funded grants, it was underperforming. You know, that was the status of the Proctor route, was it's underperforming, so it was already under the radar, and they were looking at the Proctor routes to try and save costs with the Proctor route.
So in other words, enough people aren't using it.
Well, right now, the average is 15 a day. There's 4 Proctor trips, it's 15 a day.
So,
And-
2 in and 2 out.
Yes, but the bus comes through Proctor 4 times a day. So,
And you're talking 15 total for
Total.
those 4
Yeah, per
So
day.
you could have
That's-
3 people on one,
Yes.
3 people returning?
Yep.
I'm surprised it's that
Level
high.
funding, Albert, level funding.
Level funding is you're gonna get the same grant this year this is 2026, state fiscal year 2026, which is the same as our fiscal year. They're saying that is gonna be level funded to the money you are currently getting in the current year.
Okay.
And it's a large sum.
So do they charge for the bus?
No.
Okay, so why don't they charge for the bus?
Well, that's
Fund
a
them.
thing they are gonna look at possibly, and the state is saying that, they would like, the districts to come up with 20%, and I don't remember if it was a matching or what that, I could look in my,
So they got rid of charging when COVID came, correct?
they stopped, yes. And right now, the matching, and I'm gonna look up to see what the matching is. It's not matching funds, but there's a match. The state wants it at 20%. Right now, the bus is at 8%, and the district average of those other 6 is between 12 and 15%. So the bus is the lowest, and that's what they're gonna look at, is possibly start charging fares to bring that 8% up closer to that 20% that the state wants. But I don't want to tell you that, what that 20% is for until I look up.
I know Chittenden County, they've started to charge up there.
Again, after the, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, if you're struggling, then it wasn't created as free transportation.
What were they charging?
Just like $1.
Yeah, I think it was pretty minimal.
And I thought if you were a senior citizen, it was like 50 cents or something.
That's the go to Rutland and,
Well, if you get on here, I mean, depending on when you get on, yeah, I think it probably takes you to the transit center, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's where their hub
Oh, you
is.
don't have to stay.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah. And I'm sure Rutland's numbers are askew because people get on the bus and they just ride it.
Right.
Because it doesn't cost anything, and it's warm.
Yeah, they're utilizing.
Yeah, well, that, you know, you mentioned that, you mentioned the fact that Chittenden is starting to charge fares again. That was one of the good spin-offs. The people that were seeing that as an opportunity to ride around, stay warm, and use that for other purposes, those numbers have dwindled since they started charging fares.
But I think that here, they've had all kinds of issues with drugs and those kinds of things on the bus, riding the bus.
Yes.
So it seems like it doesn't seem like it's rocket science to figure out a little common sense, it appears.
whose decision is it to charge?
I'd say it's theirs.
It's like, yeah,
That would be the bus,
yeah.
you know.
Okay,
Board of Commissioners would make that determination, you know, on the recommendation of the staff of the bus.
right.
And I don't see it, you know, in my notes there, but I will have it for you in the next meeting.
Sure.
But yeah, where that matching money was going to be used. And so currently, you know, they are being given, we had a meeting a week ago today that they discussed about the surveys going to be given to Proctor riders. I haven't seen a survey, but they're just going to collect information to see, you know, who's using it at what times, and if there's opportunities that there are other services that the bus may have that these people may be eligible for at no cost. So there's a survey, and they're going to do it for another 2-3 weeks. And then hopefully, you know, the riders, it's given to all the riders, will respond, and then they'll be able to compile their data, and that will help them in making their determinations. because they're looking at, many things, because the bottom line is to cut the costs of the route, and I think there was a figure mentioned, like, the Proctor service costs around $100,000.
Yeah, but if you're coming from Rutland through Proctor to get to Pittsford,
No, I don't think they are. But that may be one of
well, they
the,
stop at the stop sign and pick up people, and they go through the stop sign. So they're not going through Proctor in the morning when they pick people up. So they're going someplace else.
I've seen them go down William.
we can look in the website and see the Proctor route, and it will show exactly where they're going.
So are they saying that 100,000 is a cost that the town should bear some of that?
No, they're not saying anything. They don't want to discontinue service to the town, and right now, it's an unperforming route, and they just want to look at it, address it, because it's costing, the money, and that's what V-Trans has asked, all the districts to do, is take a look at all your, routes and see what you can do to
Consolidated.
cost savings.
Well, it seems like the way we're just like right in the middle with West Rutland and Pittsford, it seems like a logical, you could build a loop. I mean, I'm just saying, some of these things are
Aren't rocket science, you're right, but some people, don't want to take a hour and 15-minute ride when, coming into Proctor, going right back to Rutland is a half an hour.
if you're not paying, or you're paying $2,
Yes, I hear you, and those
that's the
are,
way public transportation works. It's no different than you ride the train in the city. If you don't have, the express, then you stop at every station, That's what happens. So, I mean, that's public transportation. I guess
but yes, that is the road we may go down. We may be looking at reducing Proctor from 4 dailies to 2 dailies. They may be looking at combining it with Pittsford and Proctor West Rutland route.
yeah.
So there's many things that are gonna be looked at, but
Well, I hope the survey is clear on, that, because the people that are writing it are writing for a reason, so it would be, disappointing to think that, that you're impacting the people that need it the most, Cause, you see the same people out there catching the bus, so.
Yes.
There's a reason.
And that's why they want the
they're writing.
feedback from them, because they want to be able to target the service to make sure they meet the needs
Yeah.
of the regular ridership.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be able to get a copy of that survey, so just,
You can get on the bus anytime you want and grab one, but yes, I can get you. They're gonna give every rider, and then it won't cost you anything.
Everybody can write it once a day, just to bump up the.
Then we'll have 16
Yeah,
riders
well,
instead of 15.
Okay. Anything else under old or new business? I think the other thing was, maybe Albert, you want to speak to, this was one of John's things when he was here, the last meeting, the water tank, and did you go up and look at the water tank?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes. You want to report on what I
Sure,
saw?
yeah.
And I sent, so the town would have for a record, a number of pictures, but, I did on the back side, a complete perimeter walk, looking for where there was encroachment of the soil up against the tank.
Yeah.
And there was absolutely none.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's
everywhere I walked
spectacular.
on the back sign, I could see the pad, because there was a new pad,
Yep.
poured for that. I could see the pad around the entire perimeter of the back side of the tank. And so it looked very good there. And then John did mention about a small, or he didn't say small, he got my attention. He talked about a landslide, and it was
Yeah.
up against the tank, and there was nothing up against the tank. That's one thing that is, and I could see the pad and around that tank. So
Yeah.
there's nothing up against the tank, and there was a little bit of surface slide. And I would say, because that was a new site, that there was a soil analysis and slope analysis done by, engineers before they put that tank there.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure and confident that that bank on the slope on the backside has already been tested and engineered,
Yeah.
and there was just a small area where a little bit of the surface material slid down.
Yeah.
And it didn't slide very far. I don't even think it slid 8 or 6 feet, and it's still a good distance away from the tank. And again, there's pictures of it for record.
Okay.
And in the area that did slide, there's already clumps of grass starting to fill in those areas.
Yeah.
And I do have a picture standing on where that area was, and you're looking at the entire tank, and you're looking at the slope. And in the slope, you're gonna see nothing for trees. Our Public Works Department has done a real good job about brush hogging in there and cleaning it up. There's nothing there, except you gotta have ground cover, because you need the roots to hold the soil.
Right.
And that's what there is ground cover, and it looks pretty good, I think. And then down near the bottom, there's a few saplings that are coming up, but I'm sure they're gonna go, at their regular interval and cut those down. So there's nothing grown that's got branches or anything brushing up against the stucco of the tanks. It just looks good, clean. And then in the photographs I took, you could see a little bit of surface mold. But again, remember, you've got a north side, and I was on the east side, which has got a hedgerow that shades that. And the mold I saw is minimal, and it is just a natural aging process, or exposure process to the outside. I didn't see anything there that really was alarming. And
Okay.
and then two on the front side, I didn't spend too much time on the front side because it's so clean, and the driveway goes up in there, and there are two drainage ditches, and they have crushed stone in them.
Yeah.
And the crushed stone must be in that 4 to 5 inch category. And where I crossed them, they even look good. Like, if there's any water, accumulating in the area, it's two drainage ditches that are serving their purpose, so.
Okay.
So I didn't see anything that was alarming.
Yeah, well, it's good.
Did you
It's,
send me those pictures?
Well,
You still got them?
I've got them right here on my phone. But the only thing is, to send them, because there's 18,
Oh,
I had to do it in 3 sets, because I didn't want to send pictures.
in comparison to what I saw when they were building the tank. As I was up there most every day to see that
yeah, that was,
being done.
still looks good. It's,
That one, right?
I already wrote it in the minutes when I said the minutes up, but I forgot to put it up. Okay, anything else?
No, I think if there's any questions.
No, I just wanted to share that, because I knew you had gone to do that, so I just.
Oh, okay. I was some practice some pictures. But,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have pictures if anybody wants them.
yeah.
yeah.
All right, a motion would be in order, or I find that premature general knowledge regarding the town's, contract and litigation would clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage because the select board risks disclosing its negotiation strategy if it is discussed in the public. A motion would be in order to move into executive session to discuss the town's possible litigation and employee contract under the provisions of Title I, Section 313, A1A of the Vermont statutes at 7:35.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.